So these young people, what can they do? And let's talk pre-race now, right? The night before or the morning before the race. What can they do to help themselves on that race day?
I mean, a lot of it comes down to, I think, what you can control. I think a lot of people get carried away with results and, you know, kind of how other people are gonna ride. And ultimately, I think the best preparation is, you know, controlling what you can control. So, you know, especially before the race, it might start 2 or 3 days before, but it depends how deep you want to go into it, really. But, you know, as long as you're hydrated, you've, you know, ate the right things, you've kind of not come into the race fatigued, you know, you've done a little bit of training before that, and you're well rested, I think you're probably on the start line in a better place than 95% of the other
with
people
stress
racing.
levels a little bit lower than they normally might be.
No, exactly.
I completely agree. It's all about preparation, I think, you know, because on my Instagram, there's 3 reels pinned to the top of my Instagram to demonstrate my biggest clients. You're one of them, Elvin Evans and Jordan Williams. And the 3 of you are some of the fastest people in your sport, and you are exactly the same people. And I don't know if that's God-given, and that's what's helped you elevate there, or it's something you've learned.
I think it's learned. Like, you know, I was never the quickest guy growing up, and, you know, there were always guys similar age, younger than me even, that were quicker than me. But I think a lot of it comes down to desire. A lot of people want the results, but a lot of people don't want to put in the effort to get the results.
And actually, I think some people, I don't know if they take pride is the word, but they like to compete and not try that hard. And be that guy. They go, well, I do well, and I don't even try. But I think there's an insecurity there. If they do try and they do badly, then they lose face.
And I'd say that was a little bit of a challenge of mine from not kind of the early part of my career, but when I started to be quite successful, it got to the point, and I wouldn't say I was actively doing it, but subconsciously it was almost like you try and see how well you can do without putting in the work. And not necessarily not putting in the work, because I was still training, still riding, but, you know, when you keep winning and keep winning and keep winning, it's the motivation to win's not there, really. You know, you're kind of doing it because you don't want to lose. You know, and then when you do lose, and and then when you do lose, you've got the excuse of, okay, I didn't train as hard as I should have, but you know, certainly looking back, it was perhaps not the correct move, but I think that's definitely turned me into who I am today. And I'm not sitting here saying that I train the hardest or I ride the most or do the things, but I do what's correct for me. And I feel compared to the other guys, I've got an edge in my preparation, you know, how I view kind of racing and certainly how I know my own limits. You know, I think a lot of riders out there, certainly in the professional level, but I think also in the amateur scene, don't know where their level is, you know, and that's why, okay, it's not great me sitting here with an injury, but I think that's why throughout my career I've managed to stay
That's a part of being a professional athlete. We'll talk about that later.
I think that's why I've generally stayed pretty injury free and managed to win 9 world championships.
9, that's a fair amount, isn't it? So Jordan Williams, for example, I don't know if you've ever met Jordan, have you?
No, never met him.
No.
But obviously no.
He was junior world champion. He's takes it very seriously when he has to. And when I first started training him, people would say, God, he's mad. You should see, like, in his motorhome or whatever in the morning, his kit is laid out and folded. Everything's exactly where it should be. You know, and it's the same in enduro, right? You should have, the motorhome should be clean and tidy and fueled. Your bike should be absolutely immaculate and ready to go. All your kit is laid out. Because you see some people turn up on race day, they're like running around everyone else's motorhomes. You've got a spare knee brace. Have you got a lens for an Oakley air brake? Have you got, you know, and then they get to the start line and they're flustered, and there's no way you can perform like that. No way.
Not at all. And I kind of like to, you know, certainly for like a Friday then in our race day, because we start on a Wednesday, walk all the special tests. So we do, you know, 30, 40 kilometers of walking throughout the whole week. So our races are pretty long before you even got on a bike, but like the whole Friday that's literally spent, you know, preparing goggles, even if it's not going to be a rainy weekend. You know, I've prepared goggles that are ready for the rain, and
then spares,
you know, those jackets, those, you know, kit. If we've got checkpoints that are out, you know, I always give them a bag of a jersey, undershirt, you know, just in case I crash, rip a jersey.
The controllables that you mentioned,
exactly.
right? Yeah, because like you said, there's things you can and you can't control. You can't control the weather. You can't control how someone else is going to compete. So you could have the best race of your life, but your direct competitors had the best race of their life and they pipped you. And that's fine. But if you did badly because 5 minutes before you had to go, you're looking for a knee brace, then that's on you.
No. And like I say, there's a sudden downpour and you haven't got the right pair of goggles, and you know, you're a few seconds behind or a few seconds ahead and lose that race because
that's your fault.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's your fault.
You know,
I don't care if you moan about the weather. Sorry, that is
exactly.
your fault. Yeah,
Exactly.